There's some exciting new developments in a brand new survey that's giving us some shocking news about how people are using AI in their work, including some news that people who use AI might actually make more money than those who don't, but maybe not for the reasons you think. So in this video, we're going to dive deep into the survey results here, as well as an interview with some of the people that ran this survey. That I thought was fascinating. Some really great sound bites there. So let's dive into that and let's go. All right. So I first want to highlight this newsletter this is a paid newsletter from Jane Friedman. She's not sponsoring this video, nor do I have an affiliate link for her, but I'm going to strongly recommend anybody who's serious about having a career in publishing or even in self-publishing, you should definitely subscribe to her newsletter. And there is a free version here, but I kind of recommend going at the $80 a year level, because you're going to get tons of really valuable advice every week. And if you just want to keep your pulse on the industry, it's like a fantastic way to do it. And again, not sponsored, no affiliate link, but it's just something I strongly recommend. I had access to it when I worked at Kindlepreneur, and I liked it so much that when I left Kindlepreneur to start this channel, I subscribe to it myself. So that just tells you something there. So out of respect for the fact that this is a paid newsletter, I'm only going to give you some of the highlights from her email. But there's some really interesting things in there. And then we'll go ahead and actually look at the actual survey, which is free. And I'll link to that down below as well. All of that's available, and you can get it and take a look for yourself. So all right. So this is some of what was in her newsletter about this huge survey. So this is examined a large cross-section of writers about their attitudes toward AI. Josh Bernoff and Gotham ghostwriters, who have extensive experience with survey design and data analysis, ran the survey. They collected nearly 1,500 responses from working writers. Of these, about 300 were fiction writers. Okay, so fiction is a small subset of all writers generally. But that's still a decent number of people to get responses from. She also notes that BookBub conducted a similar survey. And I remember when this went out, it actually generated quite a bit of chatter online, where they reached out to 1,200 writers. And they found in that survey that about 45% of writers were using AI in some capacity. And she points out some comments that she saw, which I thought were kind of hilarious. Like this one: "I don't believe it. Every author I know hates AI with a passion." So this person clearly lives in a bubble. "And I unsubscribed from BookBub emails because of this," which I think, like, really? Like, they were just collecting data. Like, this just goes to show that people will ignore all empirical data if it doesn't align with their worldview. But anyway, she notes here that for those who still doubt or disbelieve, this new survey should provide ample evidence that AI is being used by many writers across all sectors. BookBub's survey was not a fluke. More than 60% of writers in this new survey use AI at least sometimes, and 25% use it daily. 25%. So this is not just a small niche. Like, people are using AI a lot. So here are some of the key findings. How writers feel about AI depends almost entirely on how much they use it. More than half of advanced AI users think that AI is a positive force for the profession and that it has improved their career prospects, but only 3% of non-users agree. And there's a graph that I'll show you in a second that shows that. And I've been saying this for years. If you hate AI, it's probably because you haven't used it. You should try using it. You should see where in your business you can try and apply it. There's going to be something in your business that you don't like that AI can do better, and it will take time off of your hands. Just saying. The most advanced AI users have higher incomes. This is probably the most exciting statistic here, although it's maybe not what you think. There is definitely correlation does not equal causation here. But I'll get into that when we get into the interview that she shows. But it does show that advanced AI users have a median income of $120,000 a year, which is 64% higher than non-users. So there may be a reason why you might want to be thinking about using AI, because even if it's not correlated, or even if it's not causation, there is a correlation, and we want to examine what that correlation is, because perhaps you want to get more of what that correlation entails to help you in your business. Okay. And then fiction writers who don't use AI hate it, which doesn't surprise anybody here. Fiction writers were analyzed separately in a survey because their business models differ from that of other types of writers. Of the fiction group, 42% use AI at least sometimes, which more closely mirrors the BookBub survey results, but non-users were nearly unanimous in their disgust for the technology. Fiction authors using AI shared some of the same concerns about the technology as young non-users, but to a lesser extent, which I can agree. Like, I think just because we use AI doesn't mean we are completely optimistic about everything. Like, there's definitely some reason to be concerned, especially because this is such a fast growing thing, but definitely to a much lesser extent. For me personally, I have very little fears around the future with AI. Very, very little. Here's that graph correlating how your attitude towards AI versus how much you use it. So clearly, the more you use it, the more likely your attitude is going to go up. So please, people, if you are upset about AI, if you fear AI, people fear what they don't understand. Maybe try to understand it a little bit. All right, so Jane Friedman ended up speaking with Bernoff via Zoom about some of these data points. And so this is an interview that's been edited and condensed for publication. And there's some really interesting gems in here that I want to talk about. For instance, this quote here from Bernoff I thought was really interesting. He said, "Now, looking at the people who haven't used it and aren't knowledgeable about it, I spent 20 years as a technology analyst. I watched all these technologies come in, and this is always the way it is. People have all sorts of emotional reactions. When the web came in and e-commerce came in and mobile devices, we've heard the story over and over again. The difference this time is that the speed of technology advance in AI is an order of magnitude faster than anything else I've ever seen, and it's more universal. E-commerce only affected people buying things in retail. This affects everything, every job and every activity. So of course people are afraid and ignorant because, the smartest people in the field of AI don't understand all the implications, let alone some person who's like, oh yeah, I heard that it does this thing. And this is something I've been saying literally since the beginning, right? This is no different than any technological advancement before. And there will come a time when people will scratch their heads on why anybody had any problem with this technological advancement when it came. But that's probably years down the line before we get to that point. But we are getting to that point. Like, every technological advancement has faced the same skepticism. But he's right in the fact that the level of advancement happening this time is much, much faster. And so that makes it even scarier than in the past. But I don't think it changes the fact that this has happened before and it'll all happen again. And it's not going to change much in the long term. We're just going to see some instability while things normalize and while industries normalize to these things. But eventually we'll reach another stable plane where, like, we're all just using these tools and it's just normal, right? And then we'll be spending much more of our time doing things that we couldn't do before because we were too tied up doing the things that AI is now doing for us, that sort of thing. This quote was also very interesting. He says, "There has to be an enormous amount of effort put into the smart ways, the right ways to use this. We'll get there, but it's going to be ugly, especially for content organizations, for publishers. There's evidence that they're basically just throwing AI at the problem in hopes that it will make everything more efficient. And that's a terrible idea. There has to be a real reckoning with what is the right way for creative people to use these tools." And this is what I've been trying to do ever since I started this channel, was to teach people the right way to use these tools, ways that harness your creativity instead of trying to replace them, that using it as a productivity tool, not as a replacement tool. That's been my whole dream, my whole goal from the very beginning. And I think we have found a lot of good ways, what he would call the right ways for creative people to use these tools. And we're still figuring it out. So we're certainly not going to be perfect, but that has always been the goal. All right, so let's talk about the increased in income for people who are using AI. So Jane says, "The other standout finding for me was that the most advanced AI users have higher incomes than non-users. Why do you think that is?" And then he says, "That's a really hard question. This is a classic example of correlation is not causation. I'm speculating here because it's difficult to tease this kind of information out of the survey data, but I think that if you are a freelance writer or a freelancer doing content marketing or a business author or anybody who is now making 120,000 or 150,000 or 180,000 as a writer, at that level, things that can make you more efficient are extremely valuable. So yes, it's not surprising to me that those people would look and say, oh, well, if I can get really good at this, I can save myself time and energy in the work that I'm doing. I'm ghostwriting a book right now with an expert on a startup company. So he's very forward focused on technology. And when we have a task to do and I do not use AI, he gets upset about how wasteful I'm being of my time. He's like, you could have just had ChatGPT or Claude give you the answer to that, which definitely we don't want to overuse AI in cases where the human can and should be doing it better. But there are more ways that people realize that AI can do just fine. And when you use it, it frees up your time to do other things. To continue on, he says, a significant finding, though, is that most intense users of AI are the most likely to say that it has increased their income. These people are certainly telling you that this is a tool that has made it possible for them to make more money. For anyone who's wondering if they should be trying this out, that's a pretty important finding, and I agree. The people who are really good at the work they do as writers can now be more efficient. And the people who weren't that good and weren't doing the work that was relatively rote work, well, you know, it's not going to be a really good time for these folks. And again, I've been saying this. Oh my gosh, I've been saying this for at least a year or two. I've said it in presentations that the people who are hard workers and are dialed into their creativity and have practice and experience versus a person who has none of those things. If they both use AI, the person with all of the experience and the creativity and all of that is always going to do better than the person who doesn't, even if they're using the same tools. Like, it's just, I don't know why people don't get this. Like, it's obvious to me, like if you're a level 10 writer versus a level 2 writer, and you use AI might be able to double your input and your ability as a writer, but that means you're now a level 20 writer and the other person's a level 4 writer. You know, like, it's still important to get that experience and to spend time doing creative tasks and all of that stuff because it will help you in the long time. But AI is just there to make you more efficient at what you already do. So those were the highlights from this newsletter and the interview there. I wanted to actually look at the actual survey here. So I'll link to this down below. You can go and look through it. One of the interesting things for me with this graph, which showed how people were using it. So this is of course among the people, the 60+% of people that were using AI. This is how they were using it. Number one was to suggest possible titles or headings, which I thought was interesting. Number two was as a replacement for web search, which is 71%. And I gotta admit, like, although I use AI for a lot of things, as a replacement for web search is probably the number one thing, the thing that I am using most often. To brainstorm is very high, which makes sense. To find appropriate words or phrases for a concept you're describing also makes sense. For other forms of research, to generate text content that you then edit further. And this is probably what in our story hacker community and in the methods that I teach, this is probably what we do the most when writing books, is that it's not, again, it's a productivity tool, not a replacement tool. We are trying to get ideas and have it get 80% of the way there so we can then efficiently take it the remaining 20%. To summarize articles and papers or other content, yep, that's something AI is really good at. To generate outlines, also, well, AI is not as good at that, but it can do okay when prompted correctly by someone who knows what they're doing and who gives it plenty of guidance. To find flaws and inconsistency in what you write, yeah, it can do that. To generate article or blog post ideas, so more on the brainstorming there. As a devil's advocate, to find weaknesses in what you write, which I thought was an interesting one, particularly if you're into some kind of like business or persuasive writing, that could be really interesting. For deep research reports, to analyze numerical or quantitative data. Yeah, it's really great for that kind of stuff. To analyze textual data, aka survey responses. Yeah, that's great. To assess the reading level of what you have written. To create illustrations or artwork to accompany what you write. To manage and or format sources, links, and footnotes. To do numerical calculations, and now we're getting into stuff that not a lot of people are doing. To create software code or apps. To create text content that's then published without significant editing, which is only 1%. So a lot of people think that when we talk about writing a book with AI, they think that it's a button that we push and then we publish the results and that's what we're done with. Only 1% are doing that. And I would not advocate for that at all. Because like I said, anybody with the experience who actually applies their craft to the use of AI, they're always going to do better than the Joe Schmo who's just pumping out content with AI and then publishing it. You're never going to get good results out of that compared to the person who actually puts in a little effort, even a little effort. So it's nice to see that of all of these people who are using AI, most of them are using AI in genuinely helpful ways and not in the what I would describe here as, generating content without significant editing. Like that's the kind of thing that people who are doing that are not going to find success. And it looks like most of the people who are using AI are not doing that. So that's good. So there's a lot of interesting things in here, like AI powered writers are sure they're more productive. A lot of cool findings. Heavy AI users have more positive attitudes toward it. So yeah, I definitely recommend that you check that out and see what you can find in there that's interesting. It's not all, roses and everything, because there are some things in there. There's definite concerns even among those people that are using AI who think that there are potential problems in the future. I find it best not to speculate about the future. I know that in terms of the way markets work and everything always equals out eventually. And you just kind of, the best way to be able to insulate yourself against the shaky time before we get to market stabilization is to actually embrace these tools and become an expert in them, because that makes it gives you a much higher likelihood that you'll be employable, right? So that's just my thoughts there. Hopefully this was interesting to you. Go check out the links down below and I'll see you in the next video.